Welcome back, viewers. Our focus remains to be on the key relations that India and Guyana have in fact agreed upon and agreed to ramp up the cooperation in the areas of defense, trade, energy, pharmaceutical and agriculture as Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Guyanese President Mohamed Irfaan Ali have held extensive talks focusing on bolstering the overall relations. The two key sides inked to the agreements linking for providing for the cooperation in a range of sectors such as hydrocarbons, healthcare, culture and agriculture. In the media statement, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said Guyana has and in fact played a very significant role in India's energy security and that a framework will be created for a long-term partnership between the two countries in the sector. The 10 MOUs that have been signed in Guyana's capital now included the possibility of the deployment of the unified payments interface like the real-time payment system in Guyana, strengthening the cultural cooperation, collaborating and exchanging information in the field of regulation of medicines and supply of medicines through public procurement, agencies of CARICOM countries at the affordable prices. The visit of an Indian Prime Minister to Guyana after 56 years is an important milestone in the bilateral relations. All right, India, let's take a look at the kind of key pacts that India and Guyana have in fact so far agreed upon and signed the MOUs to look at enhancing the strategic partnership. And when we look at the key sectors which include health and hydrocarbons and the agriculture and defense, in fact, these are the key areas where India and Guyana have mutually agreed upon and formed the kind of arrangements and strategic partnerships to go forward. While we in fact talk about the pacts here, the MOUs are focusing on the cooperation in the hydrocarbon, which includes in fact the sourcing of crude, collaboration in natural gas, development of infra capacity and building. Remember, viewers, when we talk about moving forward with the effectiveness of clean energy, in fact, these are the areas where both the nations are jointly mulling upon forming strategies, and MOUs have been signed for a formal agreement as well. Now, in fact, while the key pacts are being given the spotlight here between both the nations who have also shared a cultural history, the MOU related to the agri and the allied sectors seek to promote the cooperation and through the joint activities exchanging the scientific materials. Now, the MOUs in fact also mention upon the agricultural pacts and also the sectors which include and aim at fostering the cooperations in the areas of digital transformation, which India is in fact banking upon when we look at development till 2017 through the capacity building and training of the programs. In fact, the MOUs put emphasis on these key areas, including building the digital infrastructure and also the training capacity and programs of the two nations, viewers. All right, viewers, now joining me live on the broadcast is my colleague Manohar Kesari. Manohar, we have just talked about how in fact both the nations have mutually jointly agreed upon the MOUs, which are focusing a lot on hydrocarbons, clean and green energy, as the world is moving forward with the changes that to be brought in the climate change and the climate synergies. These are the MOUs that have been in fact put focus on the hydrocarbons and the sourcing of crude. What are the key sector areas that both the nations are now in the few upcoming months looking at to strengthen the trade ties and the bilateral ties as far as the hydrocarbons and digital areas and synergies is concerned?
आजकल जो साइंस भारत और गयाना के बीच काफी अहम है। अब भारत और गयाना का संबंध काफी हुआ और ज्यादा साथ ही साथ जिस क्लाइमेट चेंज की हम बात कर रहे हैं, ये राजनीतिक क्लाइमेट चेंज होता रहा था। भारत में पिछले साल जो G20 इंडोनेशिया में भारत से पहले जो G20 हुआ था और पिछले साल भारत में जो G20 क्लाइमेट चेंज बहुत बड़ा मुद्दा रहा और भारत लगातार इसे लेकर के सभी देशों के साथ लगातार बातचीत कर रहा है, आगे बढ़ा और इसी के कड़ी कुछ ये सब पता है हाइड्रोकार्बन को लेकर के, कार्बन इमिशन को कम करने को लेकर के अपना रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी इसकी बात लगातार भारत कर रहा है। तो ऐसी रूप से यूज किया। दूसरा स्किल मैन पावर की बात, भारत ने कहा है कि गयाना के लोगों को हम स्किल डेवलपमेंट इसकी और आगे बढ़ाएंगे और लोगों को हम स्किल करेंगे। जो भारत का एक अपना पेटेंट मंत्रालय है स्किल डेवलपमेंट को लेकर के, और हमने देखा साल भी कई लोगों को भारत ने चयन किया और उसके बाद विदेश भेजा, जहाँ पर उनको जो है तो एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिला स्किल डेवलपमेंट को लेकर के। इसके बाद डिफेंस सेक्टर में स्किल लोगों की ट्रेनिंग को लेकर के कैसे हम लोगों को ट्रेन कर सके ताकि गयाना का भी डिफेंस सेक्टर अच्छा हो सके और हम भी वहाँ पर एक मार्केट की तलाश कर सके। इसके अलावा फार्मास्यूटिकल सेक्टर की मेडिसिन हो गया, भारत जन औषधि केंद्र भी खूब खोलेगा। ये सारे की पॉइंट्स हैं इसको लेकर के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी और गयाना के प्रेसिडेंट इरफान अली के साथ साथ तमाम डेलीगेशन के साथ बातचीत हुई है और एमओयू साइन हुआ है।
All right, Manohar, in fact, thank you for adding these details and sharing more light on the key pacts that India and Guyana have in fact mutually agreed upon. I'll also request my guest to join me live on the broadcast. Ambassador Suresh Goyal, as a former diplomat, is joining me live on the broadcast, viewers. And now, in fact, a very good morning to you, sir. And in the light of the key pacts that have been shared mutually and the MOUs that have been put the emphasis on between the two nations, there seems to be a lot of positive outcomes that are on the table as far as digital transformation is concerned, as far as hydrocarbons and synergies is concerned, and there is overall development between the ties of the two nations bilaterally is concerned. What is your, in fact, inference of how the MOUs have been signed? What are the key areas that, in fact, both the nations can pin upon for hoping for a better and developed, in fact, trade network in the coming years? Mr. Goyal.
Good morning, Simran, and good morning to the viewers. As the Prime Minister himself has mentioned, the visit to Guyana, which is taking place after how many years? More than 5 decades, if I am not mistaken, is indeed a milestone, simply because this is the first high-level visit really in the living memory of many of the people in either of the two countries. Now, relations between India and the Caribbean countries, whether it is Guyana, Dominica or Suriname, there are so many there, are particularly important because of the presence of the large number of people of Indian origin in those countries, and many of them in fact occupying high-level political positions. And therefore, the relationship between India and these countries is anchored not just on the specific areas of cooperation, which are of course all important, but an understanding based upon civilization and history, based on how those countries have come to be what they are today, and the contribution of the people of Indian origin in economic and social growth of those countries. Added to that is another element where an MOU has been signed, and that is in the area of clean energy. And clean energy is important because many of these islands are particularly vulnerable to the climate changes, with the sea levels rising and submerging a large part of their land area. And therefore, I think the relationship between India and these countries has to anchor in the climate change cooperation, the cooperation in the area of agriculture and human resource development, and agriculture or agriculture-related activities beyond also the cultural ties and the people-to-people level ties.
Mr. Goyal, also when we talk a little bit more about the deep mutual trust that both the nations have agreed upon, and given the fact that in more than 50 years, this is the first visit by any Indian head of state to have been made to Guyana, what is your understanding of how there is going to be development, and in what ways basically in the terms of pharmaceutical transformation and pharmaceutical areas, where there have been MOUs that have been signed for pharma exports as well? How do you look to that development, especially given that now India is looking more into producing and manufacturing more of the pharmaceutical brands here within itself, so that they don't have to wait upon for any kind of a international aid or a medicine to come and first then give the treatment?
Yes. India is looked upon by these countries as a major pharmaceutical producing country and therefore a partner in the area of health facilities and the health provision. If you recall, during the COVID times, India had sent the vaccines and the COVID medicines to these countries, which were appreciated. Now, to manufacture pharmaceuticals in those countries is a win-win situation for both India and there. For India, it's an opportunity to invest in areas which are actually quite distant in, geophysically, and therefore where the distribution supply line can become quite extended. Therefore, it's a good idea to manufacture pharmaceuticals in these countries for consumption from those countries, as well as the areas near those countries. For example, even they could become a hub for supply of pharmaceuticals even for the Latin American countries. The pharmaceuticals manufactured by Indian companies in, say, Guyana or Dominica. So it's a win-win idea, and I think this is a good step in the direction of bilateral cooperation.
All right, Ambassador Suresh Goyal, thank you for adding these details and sharing the perspective, in fact, on how these developments and the key MOUs can be looked at. Now, moving on, my colleague Manohar Kesari has spoken to Karl Ashok Singh, who is a former Chief Justice and the present Chancellor of Judiciary of Guyana, over PM Modi's visit to the nation. Let's now listen in.
We have joined Chancellor of Judiciary from Guyana, Karl Ashok Singh. Sir, welcome in Newsx World. Today you are in India and participating in 25th International Chief Justice of World Conference. How do you see this?
Well, it's a particular honor to be here. I have been attending this conference for many years in the past, and I can safely say the conference has grown from strength to strength.
Sir, this theme is governance for futures. So what do you see in futures the relationship between Guyana and India?
Oh, I believe that it will only get stronger, it will only get better. As you know, a large number of the descendants of original Indian immigrants live in Guyana, so the connection with India has always been maintained, and the connection between India and Guyana geopolitically has always been very good.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi went there, Guyana, and you also welcomed. After 56 years, any Prime Minister went there.
Well, indeed, the visit by Prime Minister Modi to Guyana is a signal event. I believe that I can say with confidence that all the people of Guyana, and as you know, Guyana is a multiracial society, but all the people of Guyana, particularly the Indian community, but all the people of Guyana are going to welcome Prime Minister Modi, because Prime Minister Modi has emerged as a leader on the world political stage and a leader who is dynamic and charismatic. So I think the visit augurs well for the geopolitical relations between Guyana and India, and that visit will only help to strengthen relations between India and Guyana.
India and Guyana, relation between both countries is the very oldest. 1832, one labor went there, and right now 40% of population of Guyana is India. Then what are challenges there, and what do you demand from PM Narendra Modi?
I can't speak to the question of demands because I'm not a politician. I can only express a hope that the visit will strengthen cultural and political ties, perhaps. Um, I can't speak to the question of demands, but it is my hope that the visit will help to strengthen the cultural relations between India and Guyana.
Your root is also in India?
Yes, my grandmother is from Lucknow, my maternal grandmother is from Lucknow, and my paternal and maternal grandfathers are from Bihar. My maternal grandfather is from Patna, and my paternal grandfather is from Siwan province in Bihar.
Sir, in future, what are challenges in geopolitical? Sir, right now, Ukraine and Russia war is going on. Israel and Hamas, Lebanon is going. What do you see, sir?
Well, the incidence of war and the threat of war is a troubling phenomenon. And, you know, we have been speaking about world unity and global governance. But one of the burning needs for reform at the level of the United Nations is the Security Council. And you have countries like India with emerging strong economies, significant populations, and India does not have a vote. India does not have a voice in the Security Council. And I don't only speak for India, there are other countries which are also eminently qualified to take a seat at the United Nations Security Council. So until the Security Council stops being treated as a privileged boys' club, then we are going to have problems in the world. There is a burning need for reform at the level of the United Nations. Because right now, the United Nations is the one form of world government that we have. And we heard this morning that it's not working.
So, do you want India will be the permanent member of the Security Council of UN?
That is a burning wish of mine, and it's a personal wish.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks.
My pleasure.
With video journalist.